Hello to all my friends out there in YouTube land, it's your good buddy Philtastic here. Welcome back to the channel. So, I'm working from home today. And my 3-year-old, do you want to say hi? Hi. He says hi. Wanted to come down with me. And I was busy working, you know, my 9 to 5, if you will. And he was being quiet, which probably should have been my first suspicion that something was wrong. But again, I was working and come to find that, can I have one of those? He was so quiet because he grabbed the packing peanuts from an unboxing that I've recently done. You haven't seen it yet, don't worry about it because I haven't put it up yet. And decided he's gonna rip them in half and throw them up in the air like snow. So I've instructed him, before we go upstairs, to pick up the little pieces of styrofoam that he has torn up and put them back into the box so I could throw them away properly, which is probably what I should have done like a week ago. Has he done that? He did for a few minutes. Now he's just taking them out of the box and throwing them. So we're gonna be here a while, so I decided, hey, how about shoot a video? This video comes as a special request from Comics Fan 1973. This guy, who, if I'm doing this video right, you'll see his comment on my video I released earlier this week. And he says, hey, I'm interested in, I'm paraphrasing now because I'm not reading, I'm interested in seeing your review of Hornsby and Halo from Ghost Machine. So here it goes. If you've been watching me for a while, then you may know I basically took some time off from picking up new comics. I recently jumped back in and I'm slowly catching up. And part of what I had missed was the Hornsby and Halo series, almost to its, I don't want to say to its entirety because it's still ongoing. But I've caught up with it. In fact, I just finished reading issue number 7. And I'm ready to give you some thoughts. So, right off the bat, this is, yes, it's a Ghost Machine title. I will say it is a lot different from the other Ghost Machine titles in that it's definitely for a different audience. I feel, at least. It hasn't been as violent, really hasn't been violent at all. The overall tone is a little bit more cartoony, certainly than, say, your Geiger or your Hyde Street, but even more so than Rockefellers. This is written by Peter Tomasi, it's co-created, by Peter Tomasi and Peter, should I try this? Surgenberg? So, 2 Peters created this. I think the second Peter, the one whose name I can't say, is the artiste, because it's not really clear in here, at least from what I can see. If you're unfamiliar, it's a story that's kind of similar to Good Omens. A angel child, if you will, and a devil child, if you will, are sent to Earth. The angel to live with, I guess you could say more, why don't we say morally gray parents, and the devil child is sent to live with morally upright parents. I think I described that pretty well. And here we are some years later. They're both in their, I would say, early teens, and they are slowly discovering their true nature. What I told you basically is the origin that maybe another book would have covered in, let's say, 1 to 2 issues, 3 if it's a slow build. The pace of this series has been extraordinarily slow. I'm at issue number 7, and we're finally getting to, at least what I feel is some tension in with the characters, or I shouldn't say tension, some adversity that they have to overcome. To me, it's definitely not my favorite Ghost Machine title. If I'm using my old ranking system, if I remember them correctly, I would say this goes somewhere between meh and good. It's not not one that's drawing me in every month. It's not definitely my first choice to read. It has, however, got me on some kind of a hook where I was like, okay, well, what happens when their parents figure out that they figure out who they are? Do their parents know this? What's the bigger story? That kind of is the main missing element from this whole series to me, and that's what kind of has me hooked in, because I want to see, all right, is there going to be some sort of consequences? Is there going to be some sort of a payoff, you know, from what we've seen so far? Because right now everything kind of seems a little disjointed. I was going to say episodic, but it doesn't have that cohesion, at least for me, between issues. As I said, this is extremely slow moving, and I feel like the main story that they've told so far in other series could have been told in 3 to 4 issues. Again, we're at issue number 7 at this point, and we still kind of are just getting used to who these characters are, and they're not even really kind of used to it yet. They are starting to throw some sort of different, interesting kind of alliterations. I said Tomasi's doing this, I would assume Tomasi, by introducing things like the kids are going in for a school play, and the choice of the school play is Paradise Lost, which is sort of kind of like this story. I haven't actually read Paradise Lost. I'm just kind of going by what they say in here. So if you are a big Shakespeare guy and you just said that is not what Paradise Lost is about, that's totally fine. I think Good Omens is probably a good example of how this is, except you're not focused on end of the world stakes. At least I don't think you are. You're focused on a very kind of young level of this. One thing that was kind of interesting so far in this issue, this is the first time I felt like I read this book and I felt like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. You see in this issue, and I should mention that I'm probably going to give you some spoilers. I don't know if there's something that they're consciously doing, or if it's just something that is happening because they were in close proximity to each other. But the good child, the angel boy, why don't we say, for lack of a better word, was starting to exhibit some bad behaviors, but kind of corrected himself at the end. And the devil child, or the devil girl, why don't we say, was showing some good traits, but again, corrected herself towards the end. So I don't know, again, is that just because they hung out with each other, or what's the story behind that? So that kind of is a little bit of an interesting grain of salt, but again, it took us 7 issues to get to this point. It's not something I can wholeheartedly recommend. It's just not at the top of my read pile, and again, I haven't read anything yet that's been so compelling to draw me in. Yeah, Tomasi's work that I'm familiar with prior to this, I'd have to say I was a big fan of his Batman and Robin run, but I kind of stopped collecting it, I think, after Robin died, Damian Robin. Spoiler, in case you don't know this by now, he got better. And there were some issues that lagged, and there were some issues that really kind of knocked it out of the park. If I were to run it by this scale, and again, I know we're not dealing with Batman, but we're in a whole lot of lag right now, and there hasn't been anything yet that said, hey, you need to read this book. This book needs to pull you in. It is something I'm considering just not picking up anymore, but like I said, I'm genuinely interested in seeing, okay, where are you going with this? Because I can't imagine that there's just going to continue to meander and whatnot. So my son is still not done cleaning up. In fact, he's made the mess bigger, which means to tell me that he's not going to do this cleanup. I'm going to have to grab a vacuum. Plot twist, I can't, because his sister is sleeping, and this will most likely wake her up. So why don't we do this? Road to 1K giveaway, hashtag Halo. H-A-L-O. Plain and simple. Put that hashtag in there, and you get an entry, and you can win a box of comics. And I'm going to be throwing some other stuff in there, too. I know there's at least 2 trade paperbacks in there, and a t-shirt. I may be throwing a slab in there. Not a bad deal. Look, are you getting anything there in that box that's going to make you like a millionaire or so? Probably not. These are just kind of like a smattering of things that you could either check out and see if you like or not, or maybe if you've got a YouTube channel too and you need some stuff for your giveaway pile, you know, you could do that as well. Regardless, hashtag Halo, and you can have a chance to win that box. There's really nothing here left to say other than thanks for checking this out. Thumbs up if you don't mind, comment, subscribe. That would be great. And, oh, check out my wall behind me here, if you will. Maybe more of a shelf. We'll talk about that in another video, though. Peace, love, and comics. Take care.